we've got audio, and we go to the camera, and we've got the camera. I can barely see myself through these tremendous breads here. Very well. Shabbat Shalom, honorable judges, LVE tribe, friends listening, as well as all those that are watching this video. A great big greeting to every one of you. Shabbat Shalom, and a very happy Shavuot to every one of you. On this so precious, rather radiant day of Shabbat, from California, summer day, even though it's not too hot yet, but we start to feel the heat, corresponding to Shabbat Sivan 5th of the year 5992, June 24th of the year 2023, we shall study yet another chapter of Revelation, or Revelation 17, which is called the series, part 36, Seals, Trumpets, and Plagues, 9, Shavuot 2023. Of course, I was downing to make a subject just about Shavuot, but actually Shavuot has a lot to do with what we're studying today. Of course, Seals, Trumpets, and Plagues is not going to end today. That's of course. We'll have a chapter 9 still, and it's a lot more reasonable and logical for me to at least end this part of Seals, Trumpets, and Plague in part 10. So then we'll try to finish next Shabbat. Next Shabbat, we shall wrap up Seals, Trumpets, and Plagues. Today's a rather special day because today is in the countdown of the Omer, week 7. Last week, you shall count 7 weeks. The 49th day, last day. So then Shavuot is the day after today. After Shabbat, it's Shavuot. It's always going to be Sunday. And we are in the preamble of this precious day of celebration called Shavuot, Pentecost, the 50th day, however you want to call it, but in Hebrew it would be called Shavuot. Very well. Without any further ado, let us seek our Elohim. Beloved Yahweh, we give you thanks for this precious day. We give you thanks because you guide us by the hand, because you place your spirit in us and you're preparing us for what shall take place here on earth. Only you know the dates, and we continue to study, continue to learn, continue to prepare ourselves, and we shall be ready to celebrate this precious day in your precious name, Yahweh Sebaot. Alleluia. Elohim has blessed with one more year of life the following members of the Eternal Truth: Johnson Samuel Vallejo, Venezuela; Julian Vargas, Colombia; Maritza Ovalle Sanchez, Spain; Lucinda González Valero, Colombia; Daisy Yanes González, Colombia; Gismina Fuentes, Chile; Juan David Triana Ortiz, Colombia; Grace Lynette Lopez, Mexico; Mari Ortega, Mexico; Betsaida Polanca, Betsaida Polanco, the Dominican Republic; Rosa Isela Aceres, Mexico. For each and every one of you, a great big hug on behalf of LVE. Many blessings. May Elohim bless you, and may it be your last birthday under the system and government of Babylon. Very well. I'd like to tell you to have patience for the rings of the Eternal Truth. It is rather a process that takes quite a bit of time to make these rings, especially with this jeweler that I'm working with that has the entire dedication and he is making an artwork here unique. So then this week I have some that he gave me that I'm going to start to prepare and send out. There are many in the post office that have not arrived, and there are many of you that have asked me. I have a list of over 200 people, more people that have been asking, but this will take many weeks. So then do not despair. Everyone shall receive their ring. We're in a stage which this stage shall fulfill, whether it be sooner or later, but everyone that has to receive their ring will receive it. So then do not worry about that. But it'll take time. Do not despair. Precisely, this is our mission now. It is to give the rings that we have to give. And when the number is completed of those that have to receive the ring, only Elohim knows this, then we shall pass on to the next stage. But during this stage, it's a stage that takes its time, just like it took its time for the mark. Well, this is the stage of handing out something very valuable. It's not simultaneous, so then have patience. Everyone that I ordered the rings, there are weeks in waiting, but we have time, and I believe that before we enter into the following group of feasts, all the orders shall be satisfied. We have 4 months. If we're in the 3rd month, in the 5th day of the 3rd month, the following group of feasts, it'll be in the 7th month at Tanim. For that 7th month, all the rings have to be handed out. Absolutely every last one of them, those that have to have the ring. So then be patient. Everyone shall receive it. Your little white stone with the name that only the one that receives it understands it and will have it. Very well. Now we go to Angelina's consult. Don't forget that we've got a free service that's spectacular, rather magnificent. Hidden treasure of the world, because the world does not know this marvel of how the world works, of how the body works. It's not a marvel how the body works, but a marvel is how to know that the body works, so that we can deal with these so-called sicknesses, which are something else. But when we know that it's something else, and that there are situations in life combined with our emotions that they produce that effect in our body, we can reduce, eliminate, and disappear those things almost by magic. It requires a change in us. It requires for us to understand what's going on. It requires for us to change our attitude towards certain things, and sometimes it requires a change that's pretty severe if we want to change what happens in our organism. But it's marvelous, because there's no pills, there's no treatments that can get a conflict out of you. It can make you feel better, but you don't get rid of the conflict. It didn't help you at all. It didn't come to teach you anything, but we have that knowledge that is so marvelous that honestly, that every human being on earth would want to know. They're not prepared, they could not understand it, they're not willing to listen to it, but if someone actually were to have a power to explain it to you by breaking the barriers that people place to us to not understand it, they would want to know, because it's marvelous, absolutely marvelous. Nothing shows up in human beings due to an act of something that is spontaneous, that is in the air, or just by chance. Everything has a cause, and to know how to identify that cause, that is what we understand as the new Germanic medicine. It is laws that were discovered by Dr. Hummer, which are always fulfilled. They are absolutely unbreakable. When one fulfills that law will always be fulfilled. When you feel something, you have an emotion, this situation happens, and you feel it, the body reacts in a certain way. That is what you call laws. And precisely to know this, it's marvelous. And we, as the Eternal Truth, as a ministry, we have an angel, which is Angelina, precisely has the name, who can guide you, can help you in your problems. and it's completely free. So then all of you that have situations, difficult situations that need an orientation of how to be able to surpass them, you can write Angelina's Facebook, you can make a consult, and she will give you a turn, and you'll speak everything that you need. No one is in a hurry, no one is timing you or charging you by the hour, but otherwise they're going to give you the exact solution. So then thanks to Yahweh that he gave us this power, and that power will exercise it in the service to all humanity. It is a small sample of what we'll do with all of humanity, because the humanity is sick and they need to start to understand with a lot more capabilities and a lot more tools, but we're going to do it exactly this work in every human being. Very well. That is what this whole life is about. It is about absolutely everything. That's what's marvelous that we have. I'd like to read this text that has to do with the ring because I love it now from here on out. Revelation 2:17, New Living Translation. Everyone that has an ear to hear must listen to the Spirit and understand what he saith unto the churches. Unto all who conquer, I shall give them of the manna that has been hidden in heaven. And I shall give every one a little white stone. And in that white stone it'll be engraved a new name that no one can comprehend except for him that receiveth it. Marvelous. All of you have understood this meaning. It is absolutely brutal and incredible. Very well. About about those that are paying for the ring and all the rest. The last means also for tithes or cooperations, the last one that you want to send for the eternal truth. The last means that we like for you to use is MoneyGram and Western Union, because for the reason that those services have been restricted greatly by the U.S. government, so then it is left as a service so that one family member to send to another, you cannot use that service under any other system of business, for example. So then when a person receives once and again from different places, from different people, a red flag is rises, and then they block it for you. And that could happen at any time. It's been happened twice with Leslie that they block it for a whole year. They can't send it, not even Western Union or MoneyGram. So then those are the services that we least want you to use. There are people that don't have any other system. They have no other way. And oh well, as an exception. But it's not the way that will help us, because there comes a point in which you can't use it. So then I recommend the PayPal services if you don't have an account, because you can say I don't have an account, but you can make an account. The other account is Sebet. You write it with a Z, Zelle. Maybe you don't know it, it doesn't help you, but it's a very common account. Those that have in certain banks, it works. I think it's from Bank of America, but there are other ones that you can make a Zelle account, even if you don't have Bank of America. But those who understand that, it can help them. Zelle account. What is our Zelle account? This very same one, the very same one that PayPal, the Eternal Truth, laverdadeterna at hotmail.com. It is my email account. If you have a question, you can write to me. The other one is a direct deposit. That still, it's very more complicated because you need an account, bank account, and all the rest. And that would be the best ways of making all the funds and support to get, or the value of the rings to get to us. I just wanted to tell you about that because we have problems with Western Union and MoneyGram. Look, where are we here? We moving on. Before we speak about these brutal breads here, Shema Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Ekhad. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our Elohim, Yahweh one alone is. This is the main base. It is what Paul said. It is the main stone of understanding the scriptures. Not just ours, it is the main stone to understand the scriptures. Once you place that rock there to understand all the rest of what's written in this book, you will notice that it is filled with contradictions and the teachings inherited by all the religions. The ones that you yourself studied in life, you add them and the contradictions are added up, because everything that is taught religiously in the world is a lie. When we go from one soul being, not from one union of three or of two, of only one being that is not divided, only one alone. When you start from that base that's so fundamental as, "Hear, O Israel, Yahweh, our Elohim, Yahweh, one is," then you start to understand everything that happened in all the stages of the world of creation. When someone came called Yeshua, who claimed to be the Son of God, that already it is something that's impossible. I want you to understand this, because sometimes we don't value what we have. Sometimes even some of you send me, incredibly so, they send me videos so that I can listen to pastors or rabbis or people that talk about the Bible, YouTubers, because you find some light in them. I tell there's no light, none, unless you start from the base that Yahweh is only one person. When you start from the base that Yahweh is only one person, then it's over by saying even the invocation and prayer, saying, "Our Father that art in heaven," we pray all this in your name, Son of your Son Jesus Christ. That is a stupidity, complete idiocy. Starting with the invocation, we ask you, "Father, all powerful, in the name of your Son." That is complete idiocy. You see that there is a contradiction. There are two people. I pray to a being in the name of another being, because the other being was the one that came to die for me, supposedly. So then I'll pray to the main one in the name of a substitute. All of Christianity talks about that. So then when you send me videos, you say, "Look how pretty God is working here." No, God is not working there. It's evident. He could be working there just to deceive, but not to redeem and save. No such thing exists. No such thing exists. So then, having the greatest treasure, which is Yahweh Ekhad, only one person, that is where everything else takes off from. So then you start to see the contradictions, apparent contradictions, and you say, if Yahweh, who is one, does not have a son to send, who came to earth? Two possibilities are left. Either an impostor who claimed to be the son of Yahweh, a son that he does not have in heaven, or the one that came was he himself, but not with his name, but rather made himself be called in a way to speak in parables. Which of the two is it? Clearly so. He says so. Look, I and the Father are one. What does that mean? I and the Father are only one being. Now I am making a representation because I've just incarnated into a human life, and I can no longer call me, nor am I called Yahweh. I am called the Son of Yahweh, but actually it is him. The one that has seen me has seen the Father. When you understand that, all the contradictions, the stupid contradictions, are over of what Christianity represents, and even less that they are three, because Christianity teaches a Trinity. The Messianics teach that they are two, and everything is a lie. And the Jews teach that it's one, but that no one came. So then we're all messed up, because if those are the three main religions, one teaches that they are three, and that one of the three, the other one says that they are three, and that one of the two came, and the other one teaches that it's one that never came. So then which one of the three is it? None. And if we add the Arabs, it's one. That's fine. Allah, one. His name is not Allah, but let's suppose. And he didn't send, he sent the prophet Jesus, which is a prophet. So then we're always wrong. What is the truth? The eternal truth is that there's only one, and he came to earth in a human form, and he made himself be called the Son of Man. He made himself be called the salvation, Yeshua. He made himself be called the Son of Man, the Son of the Most High. But of what he made himself be called, it doesn't mean that he is that. It's only one God, and that we understand it clearly, absolutely clearly. That is the secret to understand the scripture. So then, when the scripture talks that the return of the Son of Man comes, it's still only two options left. Either the very same one, Son of Man, that appeared here because he's called the Son of Man, when the Son of Man appear, when the Son of Man return, when the Messiah return, the option is left. Once they understand that they are two, because that there's one, pardon me, if they understand that it's three, obviously you're not going to understand the thing. If you understand that it's two, then not that either. But if it's one, then there's one option. Option A, the one that left is the one that comes back, and that's perfect. It fits in until you get to the contradiction that you find in Revelation, that the whole world thanks the Messiah and God Almighty. And you say, hold on, what happened here? I had already understood that only there was one being, that was Yeshua, that was Yahweh, that became Yeshua, that made himself be the Son of Man. And now we were doing okay up until there, and all of a sudden he presents to me that he returns. Oh, how great. Who returns? And I think the one that came 2,000 years ago. Oh, how great. And then I find out that there's two again. We have the Lamb and we have Yahweh. So then right there we have the whole problem. We have the contradiction of saying, what happened here? Why do the people thank the Messiah, that the Messiah takes the power, and that Yahweh also takes power? Which of the two is it? Which of the two? Absolutely clear. We focus once again and we notice that the Messiah that was to return, the Son of Man that returns to earth, is not the one left 2,000 years ago, but rather what it is to be a Messiah. It's a role. It is the anointed of. So then when you understand that Yahweh cannot be the anointed of because he's the one that anoints, it's not a self-anointed by him, because the presence of Yahweh continues all-powerful and eternal. So then the Mashiach is the Son of Man, and everything that was applied 2,000 years ago in his person now is applied to a group of people. You understand this perfectly well. I'm explaining what the truth is, which is the base. And everything is born from Shemah, Israel, YHWH Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. So then Yeshua, Yahweh, said unto the Jews, who, when he was here 2,000 years ago, who had believed on him, if ye were to remain in my word, then you shall truly be my disciples, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Of course, free from what? Free from bad interpretations, from theories, free of absolutely everything. Very well. But the whole the whole Bible, and why is it so? Because it's a plan of creation. The Bible is concealed. Proverbs 25:2 says, it is the glory of Elohim to conceal the word, to cover, to not let it be understood, to cover it. Yet it is the honor of the king, the glory of the king rather, to search out the word. So then those who understand the word are the kings. It is not the sheep. It is not the churches. It is not even the 144,000. It is the kings, those that understand the word. The rest will say what Jeremiah 16:19-21 says. Yahweh, my strength and my stronghold, my strength in my day of tribulation, and to thee shall come the peoples from the ends of the earth, and shall say, only lies. It's not some lies, but only lies was the inheritance of our fathers, vanity to which there is no avail. If it is men that makes himself gods, then they are not gods. This is more than clear. If it is men that made Trinity unto himself of they, and misunderstood what is concealed, they are not gods. It is no good. And notice he says, no, it says vanity to which there is no avail. Someone said, no, but it has a lot of good. In the end of it, he was a Christian, a good person, is maybe for his life and all the rest, but as a truth, it is to no avail. The whole world has to be able go back to be reborn. And when I mean that is to re-exist, to relearn everything. Because they're going to have to say, it was all a lie. Everything was a lie. The world is not ready. Christian world is not prepared for a group of humans to say, we are the Messiah. That is precisely, it is prepared for them to say, no, you're not the Messiah. You are the anti-Messiah or Antichrist, who was prophesied, and the pastor told us and prepared us. Christian world is precisely prepared for that. So that when a group of people, for them to see as normal as the others, born here, for them to say, and it doesn't matter if they have some sort of special power, that doesn't matter, for them to say, we are the Messiah that's promised, they're going to say, you're no Messiah promised, because all of my knowledge, all my understanding says that the Messiah comes from heaven with a group of angels, that comes in a cloud. So then, how's Christianity going to react? I'll tell it to you right now. Badly. They're going to react badly. Absolutely. Among all the religious groups that I don't know, possibly so, maybe Judaism might react a little better, because Judaism does not wait a God in heaven. They wait for a human being to rise up as a Messiah. Maybe he says, no, not that either, because show us that you came from David, that you speak Hebrew, that you were born in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem. I don't know where the fuck they would want me to be born. But maybe they say, hey, that's true. And they give us the gift of tongues and we speak Hebrew. And it says, oh, yeah, nobody has spoken like this guy. I don't know. What does the future hold? I don't know. But what I do know is that it will not be accepted. Some minorities of certain groups will accept it. The rest won't, because they're educated precisely to the contrary. And the rest of the Christians, the most ignorant of them all, although they're all ignorant, those that are waiting for a secret rapture, that's even less than that, because according to them, they're not going to go through any tribulation. According to them, they're going to be raptured before everything, that the wrath of Yahweh shall come upon the earth. So then they won't be able to understand, and they're going to say, you're all deceit. I'm waiting for my Jesus, my Savior that died for me 2,000 years ago. And they even believe that they have identified, due to the form that they've seen of Leonardo da Vinci's pictures, that Jesus, that's the one that I'm waiting for. The Son of God, not you. Who the fuck are you? You're crazy. Okay. How was this fulfilled? It was fulfilled exactly in the very same way when Yeshua came to the earth. When Yeshua came to the earth, then the true Messiah is left, the promised one, for that time, and to fulfill what they had to fulfill. Of course, he didn't come as Yahweh. He came as a Messiah. The people of Israel that was prepared, that was waiting for him, that studied, they even knew that he had to be born during that time. When he showed up, they didn't accept it. They said, you're not the Messiah. Who the fuck are you? But, I mean, your father was Pantera, and your mother, I mean, let's not even speak about your mother. That was the prepared people. Absolutely. The people that were prepared to receive them did not receive them. He came into his own, and his own did not know him. Okay, that is applied textually, what the experience that the world will live. The Christian world that awaits Christ, when Christ appear visually and say, I'm the Christ, they shall say, no, you're not the Christ. The very same experience, those that are waiting for, and they call it Christians, they're waiting for Christ. When Christ appear and he says, I am Christ, they're going to say, no, you're not Christ. You're the Antichrist. What do they call Yeshua? You are. If you do miracles, it's because of the Beelzebub's power. That's what they told him. Said, you have a demon inside. Didn't they tell him that? Exactly. They didn't have the Antichrist word, but they said demon possessed. And the only way to stop this is by killing you. That experience, it is the antitype, the prophetic antitype of how Yeshua was received by his people. That is how he was received by those that say they expect a Yeshua, but who received them, peoples that were not waiting Those who were not waiting, they opened their arms and said, the Greeks, for example, those Greeks that had false gods, they said, he had it had more success there. The Romans, they embraced Christ up until now. So then whom will we have success with? With the ones that are least expecting the Messiah. With those, think about it that way. That's the way it'll be. So that when I see that the two witnesses, they're actually going towards paganism, when I see that the two witnesses, which are the flat earthers, which are the anti-arrows, which are the ones that believe in Germanic medicine, none of these believe in this. And the more that time passes by, they draw away, the farther away from this. That's the group that will open their arms, because when they draw away from this, they draw away from the false Christian interpretations. So then they don't have a standard that a Christ has to come in a certain way. They directly say this is false. When a leader shall come, and they said we like that leader. We like him because he gives us so many ideas that we share, whatever the case is, whether it's pharmakeia, whether it's flat earth, or whether it's the anti-system entirely. They're going to say that is what we're looking for. That is what we're looking for. We weren't looking for a Messiah to come in the clouds with little angels. We're looking for something to change this world. The very same effect that took place with Yeshua. Now, those that were waiting for him, they said, no, we don't want to know anything with that. Absolutely nothing with that. That is why they're going to have to say, only lies was the inheritance of our fathers. If it is man that makes the gods unto himself, then they're not gods. But that is why, behold, I should make it be known. Once again, this time I shall show them the strength in mine arm, and they should know that my name is Yahweh. Very well. Malachi 2:17 says, ye have wearied Yahweh with your words, and ye say, in what have we wearied him? In that ye say, whomever that doeth evil pleaseth Yahweh, and in such he delighteth, or else, where is the Elohim of justice? Where is the Elohim of justice? We, although we know the answer and all the rest, we are still asking because we want for the stage to end. We don't know when it'll end, but we want for the stage to end. We're already sick and tired. I'd like to say that we're prepared. Actually, I don't know. Right now, I understand that I have a mission with the rest of the 3 angels that I have here. The mission is to give out those white stone. And I'm wasting time right now because our mission, it takes a lot of time, and it is precisely to prepare that and give it. Because the hidden manna, I've given it to you. I've just summed it up. The hidden manna from heaven, that is the hidden manna from heaven. Only one Elohim. The one that returns is not the Elohim that came, but actually it's a group, the sons of Elohim. That is the Mashiach. It is a group in conjunction, and that's going to have a brutal army, practically innumerable, which are the 2 witnesses, the resurrected, and that is the hidden manna. The other thing that we have to give them is the little white stone. So then it'll take its time. All those that have yet, I don't know why I say this, because I shouldn't even say this, that I have yet, for some reason or other, you have not asked for your order, and you're from the eternal truth. Don't ask it for your family members, because it won't be any good for them. A ring like this, if it is not combined with the belief, it is no good. It is the same as if an injection or an arrow, if you don't combine it with the worship. Do you understand? It's exactly the same thing. So then, if the same truth that Yahweh gave us says that the first plague falls upon those that have the mark and worship, not just that have the mark, but rather they have a mark and they worship the system, which is the beast, they receive the first plague. So then I tell you, the ring is a combination. It is the ring and the belief. So then if you want to hand it out to your grandmother, to your little daughter, your husband, your wife doesn't believe a thing, but just in case I'll buy it for them, it is no good. Absolutely, it is no good, because it hasn't the same effect. You have to combine both things, both for the mark as for the seal. And the seal of God and ring is the same thing. The word seal is the word ring, just so you know. I've explained it some time ago. So then there is a correlation, a correlation. That is what I'm trying to say. Don't try to buy your unbelieving family members to save them, because it won't save them, and possibly so they'll get a curse, actually, you, because you got into something that is none of your business. It has to be born of the people. Now, your children, which are your responsibility, I find that as a good idea. Of course, that they're young, that don't handle money, but they're your responsibility. I find that to be perfect. But if your son has, I don't know, 25 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old, or your mom or your cousin, and you want to give them a little present, says, I'm going to give you, no, you can't give them. You can't give it to them because it hasn't the same effect. It'll fall on you, in fact. Unless they ask for it, of course. Exactly, unless they ask for it. So then, I don't believe, and I don't want to think that it's the case of anyone here. Of course, no one listening to, but just in case, I'll say it. So then, if our mission now is to give this to everyone, then if you still have not asked for it because you're thinking how you're going to pay for it, don't you worry about that. It is a commitment before Yahweh, absolutely before Yahweh, nothing else. That is what precisely has to do with this. If you do not believe that you're capable, that you can have it because you can't pay for it or whatever, then actually I have to consider that you don't deserve to have it. Because if somebody's telling you, look, how are you going to pay for it? Don't you worry. It is a commitment that you can take. If the time is short and it ends, then you'll never pay for it. Just like that, you'll never pay for it. But how much worth it was it, the commitment? If this lengthens, Elohim will give you the tools that maybe you didn't believe you had to pay for something. And maybe in your mind, your unbelieving mind, you ask, but how didn't he say that he's going to give it to you? He's given it to you. Actually, what you're paying for is just a nominal value. It's a commitment. You can't pay for this because just imagine if everybody in the world would understand that through something, a gift like this, that they could have it. This will have no price. If an article just of whatever is millions of dollars, just imagine if somebody were to say, this ring will have a life of its own, and it'll make you, I don't want to say it now, it'll give you special power. How many do you think that this would be on eBay worth? They kill themselves by bidding wars to have it. So don't think you're paying for anything. You're only helping that I can give it to you. That's all you're doing. Helping for me to be able to send it to you, that I can give it to you, that we can have something to obtain it. And that and all, in the following message of the churches, Yeshua says, just so that you can rest in your materialistic mind, it says, I recommend that from me you buy. It's not that he gives it to you free. It's a way of saying it. I recommend that you buy gold refined, for me to buy oil that you can see, and that you buy white robes. He says, I'll send them to you. I'm not going to give them to you. He says, I sell them to you. It's something nominal. Okay, so then, without being too drastic, if you are of the eternal truth, if you're not of the eternal truth, don't you worry. But if you're the eternal truth and you believe in this message, and you believe in what we've lived up until now, and you believe what will happen in the world in the way that we believe, and you're a part of this, don't doubt it anymore. Write to me today and say, I want my ring. There are many of you that are still doubting. It's embarrassing. I can't understand it. What's going on with your mind? But obviously, I also don't want to pressure you. I'm inviting you. I know there's a text that says force them to enter, but you not even like that. Force them to enter to what? You should all have asked for it already. Actually, all of them. If actually it is difficult for you for this $200, okay, then don't ask for it. They've never heard that story. They don't know that that parable exists that says that when she saw the ring of the power, she went and sold everything to obtain that ring that has no price that you could not obtain. That is what it says. Precisely that. They've never heard that parable. That's what happens. They've never heard it. They were missing when we developed it. Good. Very well. Speaking about these breads, I believe in my understanding of everything that I've been doing, because I started to do them big like this starting from 2019. 2019 was the first one, 19, 20, 21, 23. I believe, maybe I did it before, but I believe that from 2019 I started with these huge breads. Can't remember now. This is a new recipe that I started practicing. I've been having Leslie eat bread. We went up 10 kilos this week. Just tasting it, just testing, because I was never satisfied with what I made. Actually, I would make them and I didn't like them. Either too dry or too hard, or they would fall out. I wanted something more spongy, elastic. I didn't want it to, oh. So this is a new idea that I've been formulating. So then it's the biggest ones that have been done. I started with 4 flour kilos, white one of the best, and I did them 70% of hydration. Now, those of you that know about bread, you know that you use percentages of hydrations and of water. I've done it 70%, less than 60. So then this time, in my best result was 60% dilation. So then for 4 kilos of white flour, we get 2,400 milligrams of, same thing as water, of water. 4 kilos of flour for every one of them, 4.4 kilograms of water. And to that, I've been adding salt. I believe that in this formula it has 80 grams of salt. Of leaven, I reduced it every time, even less, to have the least leaven possible, so that I can activate all the bread without it having a flavor of leaven. Because if you have less leaven, the dough is better, but you have to leave it to ferment a lot longer. If you don't add enough, it won't rise. So then it's a whole game, tremendous game. I have it all written down. There's 30 grams of leaven. This one has honey. It has honey, quite a bit of honey, like 120 grams of honey. And I also added and olive oil. 120 grams of olive oil. Look, I gave you a spectacular formula by memory because I've been testing little by little. 4 kilos of flour and the 1.4 liters of water into that. If it were the same kind of flour, I would say just 10 grams. No, pardon me, twice as much. From 30 to 60, about 70, 80 grams of fresh flour. We don't get fresh leaven here, and the dry one functions well. It's half of a third that you use for dry yeast. So then it's got 30 grams of dry yeast, 80 grams of salt, 120 grams of honey, and 120 grams of olive oil. I allowed it to leaven three times in 45 minutes. Everything gets mixed first because the leaven has to be set in the center of the flour. You put the leaven and you don't put the honey there. I don't like to activate with honey or sugar with them, just with a little bit of water. Of the water that it'll have a little bit of water, and you leave it like 5 or 6 minutes for it to get some bubbles. salt never has the contact of the leaven because it deactivates it, so then everything is left in the border of the bowl that you're using individually. So then you add the salt around it and you mix it a little bit without it getting to the leaven in the center. So then after the leaven is activated with the water in 5 or 10 minutes, then you mix the honey, which is dense, the honey and the oil that is not mixed with anything, because if you add the oil directly to the dough, then it'll be a lot more difficult later for it to spread out through all the dough. So then you mix it all with the honey for it to get mixed, just like it reminded me of the smoothie that we used to drink. Water with oil and honey. You grab that smoothie and you cast it where the leaven is, and then you mix everything. After mixing everything, it is very sticky because it's 60% humidity. It is a dough that is not so sticky, but it's pretty flaccid. After kneading it for like 10 minutes, you leave it there to set, and then you knead it again. This is the way I did it. I left it for 45 minutes once again for it to leaven, and then you put it in the mold, which I have a mold that Danilo made that is no longer here, but he left the mold and the spirit. He left it there. The first best thing he did before leaving, he gave me the mold, and in the mold I make the dough and I let it leaven for a third time and knead it again, and then I leaven it and I make it of the mold just like this here, and you leave it there for 2 hours for it to leaven. So then it'll leaven for 2 hours, and then you heat up to 375. I told you how. And you say, how do you make it? Well, this one, I believe it's the best of all my history, mind you, of all history. Then later we'll see if it's a complete failure. Next Shabbat, I'll say don't use that formula. I'll look for another one. The best or not the best? Definitely the best. The best. So then once the dough has been resting for 2 hours, plus 45 and 45, an hour and a half, then it takes 3.5 hours of leavening. Each bread, 3.5 hours, and then I placed it in the oven. And then I put it in the lowest setting in the oven, and I said, oh, there's going to be a problem here. But oh well, who cares? What was the problem? The oven was too small. The leaven went up. Oh, it went up, and then it went up to the... Because our oven is electrical. It's better than the gas one, which has a resistance above and below. But the leaven, the bread went up and went up and went up too. And I say, Leslie, this bread got up to the heaven, to the sky of the oven, and I don't know what's going to happen or if it's going to explode. It's kind of wet, and the resistance, you know that it is an infrared situation there. So then what's going to happen there? I don't know. It started to smell like burnt. It sounded like something was getting burnt. It says, it's the Shavuot. I can't even take it out because it was stuck even. Just imagine that is down below on the floor of the oven minimum, and it goes up, and there are 2 sticks out there, and the stick went from one side to the other, and I said, how do I take it out now? Because it was across it was stuck there burning. And that happened during the first 15 minutes, and the cooking, I calculated it was exactly 60 minutes. Is what do I do now? At 15 minutes, I get up to heaven of the oven and said, well, I'll leave it like that. I said, whatever, do it, whatever. And it did well for an hour. Now, when the hour of the clock that I calculated of the cooking, because they're way too big, I went to go take it out, and I turned off the oven to take it out. The bread had reduced a little bit, enough so that it wouldn't get stuck there in the resistance. Because just imagine that there are 2 sticks like this. The bread was here, and it had gone around the turn. I mean, how would I take it out? But it had gone down a bit, and it there was a little bit like that of light to be able to take it out without any problem. So then I took it out without any problem. I look at the bread and Leslie says, and what about those two marks? They're burnt because right here you have here and here. And Leslie says, put a little flour and you can hide it. Leslie's like, just put a little bit. Here you can clearly see the mark. Right, let's go ahead and show them. Here you see the marks right there. You can see the mark very well of the two breads, and the same mark with white flour. It looks nice for the picture. Yeah, no, let's present that. No, here with the mark up here on the roof of the bread. Terrible bread, a terribly huge bread. I'll tell you how it's 6 kilos 321 grams. 6 kilos 321 grams, 13 pounds 93. In other words, 14 pounds almost. 14 pounds is this bread, and I loved it when I saw the mark. The mark, I said, these breads are marked. I can't believe that all kinds of things happen to us and that my mind relates it clearly because they're marked. What number do you see? 2. 2. It has 2. Wow. It has 2. It's 2 breads. It is incredible. It is incredible the things that we live through. So then here, now I'm about to read it. If you look at the picture of Shavuot of last year, I want you all to go watch the picture of last year. It was called Beliefs for the 1,000 Years 2. Fantastic subjects. Beliefs for the 1,000 Years Part 2, which I preached on Shabbat, the 4th of Sivan of the year 5991, which is June 4th of the year 2022. It was precisely the 49th day, 1 year ago, in the calendar of Elohim, of course. It was on the day before Shavuot. So then the picture, I don't know if you can see it there, but if you don't see it, doesn't matter. The picture, this one, what it has about absolute marvel is that I marked the bread, and I marked it 5 times on the bread. Like you make a bread, you can make whatever marks you want. It could be 6, 3 bread, 6, 6, 6, whatever you want. I mean, I marked it in diagonal. I don't know if you can see it, but look at the picture. Or Leslie then published the picture so they can see the difference of the bread that had the marks that I made with a knife. Now, when the bread was in the oven, I said, I didn't mark them. It's nice to make the marks. The baker always makes the marks, and I forgot it. I had it in my mind, but it just slipped my mind. Why did I forget? Because it had to grow up to heaven. To grow is to resurrect with the leaven, of course. It had to grow, and it had to be marked not by me. It had to have a mark that I would not have done. Number 2. And why number 2? Well, evidently, I'm about to tell you, that mark that appeared in each of the breads, that marvelous mark that appeared in each of the breads, represents the 2 witnesses. Because these 2 breads, and this is not new because I've taught it last Shabbat. Okay, they published it. Okay, perfect. So if they want to see it, they can go there and watch it. Excellent. They can clearly see the marks that I made, right? Okay. And that was not planned. I planned to make the marks. I forgot. And the oven marked them for me, too, in a way that's so clear you can clearly see it, too. So then, last year on Shavuot, in this same subject, I'll repeat it to you what the subject is. The subject was called Beliefs Part 4, the 1,000 Years Part 2, Shavuot 2022, Sivan 4th of the year 5991, or June 4th of the year 2022. In that subject, I, for the first time, I said something new, something that changed. And what changed? I have the flour here. What changed? This changed. Until last year, since honestly, When it augments, it obligates you to see things once again that you had already seen as truth. But once you have more light, you see them in a different way with different colors. When it's still dark and it's in the dawn, but once it gets lighter, you start to see the forms, but you still don't see things well. But if to say this looks like this and like that, as the light augments, you start to see the real form that they have, the color that they have, and what the object is. So then the light started to grow in the eternal truth in this world of darkness. I've always preached that the feast of Shavuot is the feast of the 144,000, the feast of the bride. I've always preached it. And I even said it is our feast. If there's a feast of the 7 that is ours, it's Shavuot. Because Pesach belongs to the death of the Lamb. The feast of barley, which would be Bikurim, the first fruits of Bikurim represents those that are of the Lamb and are dead. The feast of all the feasts of the matzah, of the breads, unleavened bread, they have to do with Yahweh, that he was dead, lifeless, and all the rest. What is our feast? And I had already preached this at Shavuot. It's our feast. Is the feast in which we are expecting to be enabled from above, which represents the matrimony of his bride with Yahweh, which is the truth. When Israel left Egypt, people of slaves, people that weren't going to be kings or anything because they all died in the desert, that people that got to the feet of Mount Sinai, in Mount Sinai, clouds were formed. Yahweh descended amongst the fire, amongst torment, storms, and all the rest. That cloud that were formed, that would cover the mount, is what is represented as a chuppah. And the chuppah is like a tent. You do say kuppah, right? Kuppah? Well, I have to ask. I haven't waken up yet. The chuppah is when you're going to get married in Israel. They call all the bride and the husband to get married because the chuppah, it is also from Sukkot. It is the sukkah, but it is also, the chuppah represents something. Well, that tent, the chuppah, it is what the people of Israel saw upon Mount Sinai above them, like a tent. So then it is interpreted, and I see it correctly so, that it was a matrimony of Yahweh with Israel, but a matrimony of terror, a matrimony that was to be forgotten, that was to fail. It was completely terrific because the husband was a disaster, terrified the bride. The bride didn't want to speak to the husband and told the interpreter, look, I don't want to talk with that guy. He better speak with you, and whatever he speaks with you, you tell us. It is too violent. He's too brutal. He says that if we were to touch there, we would all die. No, look, I tell the truth. We're all scared. You speak with him. But it was the matrimony of a disaster. It is precisely everything that should not be done. Nothing but rules, I can imagine, and some characters that come to mind. Nothing but rules. My bride has to do this. My wife has to do this and that. My wife has to love me by law because I'm a macho. If she doesn't love me, then I'll destroy her. I'll kill her. I'll persecute her. I'll give her so many curses. But she married some guy that was impossible to live with. And he expected worship. Just imagine the most out of place macho, a wife beater and a murderer. That one, of course, the bride says, well, whom are we marrying? I don't know, but we don't even want to talk to him. But in the moment of matrimony, tells the interpreter that was Moses, says, you know what? Go ahead and kill her. No, what do you mean? How are you going to kill your bride? Yeah, go ahead and kill her. We'll make another one with you, and I'll marry another one. Go ahead and kill her, just kill her. Moses says, no, you're going to be ashamed. You know, for a husband to kill his wife, it's in Arabia, maybe, places like that. But go ahead and kill her because she's not a virgin. I'll translate to you what is written. He says, go ahead and kill her because she was worshiping others. And worshiping others, she was laying with others. So then go ahead and kill her. She's cheated on me. He was furious, insane. Go ahead and kill that bitch that is laying with others. She doesn't see me for a little bit, and she worship is the same as sex, same thing. So then a group of unfaithful people, you understand me perfectly well. So when there's relation, the guy was completely jealous at the time of marriage because it was dog shit. At the moment of that false marriage, Israel would go with other guys because the husband didn't want to touch her. The husband was always playing hard to get. So then what does a woman do? What does a woman do if the husband is an idiot? Let's say he yells a lot. If the husband imposes everything, if the husband doesn't even want the woman to touch the husband, because let me tell you, all the Messianics that listen to me, because there's many that listen to me, they're very proud that it was the sacred feast. Well, that sacred feast of marriage. This happened. Had a husband that was ultra machista, loved the wife, didn't love her. Wanted to give her commands, give her a whole pile like this. I don't have the Torah here. Leslie, can you give me the books that I had here? The books that I had placed here? Yes. Oh, those right there. Yeah. Bring me that whole pile. So then Israel was getting married with a despot, egotistical, wife beater, unfair, murderer, and to top it off, commanding, and he's a dominator, like the way he likes to command. Doesn't he say, I'm the dominator of Israel? Okay, the dominator of the wife. Who's Israel? The wife. So then the wife said, hold on, I'm going to marry that guy. I don't even want to talk to him. So then what a normal woman, whichever one, if the husband was with some other guy, which was Moses, so then the woman went with someone else that didn't want to touch her, which were the other gods. Give me something that I can touch, that I can see, that we can make a feast. And made a whole golden calf there to make a party, a famous golden calf. So then it was a sexual infidelity spiritually with Yahweh. Yahweh went crazy. That's why he acted like any crazy husband would do. And instead of saying, look, I left my wife alone, go ahead and take her from those stupid idiots. No, go and kill her. What would a machista husband say? Kill her. Or would he not say that? Go ahead and kill her. Who defended the wife? Moses. Moses said, no, look, don't kill her because you're going to look bad. The Egyptians are going to say, look, he took his wife out to kill her. He brought her out to kill her. That guy, I mean, you're going to look like the worst in the history. And he would look like the worst in the history. The worst. Wow. So then Moses comes down, and so then Moses gets angry and kills some. But the people were saved. But that matrimony was a disaster, and that matrimony took place during Shavuot. Let me ask you, is it our feast? We advance now. Second Shavuot, in which in history it is fulfilled. It is in the famous Pentecost that Christians love. Up until today they venerate it, and up until today they believe that they receive part of the Spirit to speak in tongues, and they start with the bala la la. I don't know one soul of those tongues, but sometimes I hear them say certain words like, I don't know, I don't know, like an Arab. I don't want to make any ridiculous statements here, but the guys, if they don't speak in tongues, they raise their hands, they cry with emotion. Just a clown act completely. They think that they're still under the effects of that Pentecost. Okay, what happened in Pentecost? In Pentecost, Yeshua, who was Yahweh, in the form of a man who nobody knew, who nobody understood, said, look, I won't go. Within 10 days, because he went 40 days after his death. He was 40 days with him. And he said, look, I'm going to go. Gather all together. Because he didn't say what was going to happen, but he said, get together. So then the disciples, along with some friends and some that would follow, they got together with 120. It was 120 people, the famous 120. We're a little more than that. They were 120. So then those 120, they were all waiting for something to happen. At 9 a.m., it says that a kind of like a terrible sound came, a terrible wind, and there was such an effect that was fantastic per se, magical, that it was like tongues of fire, the way they describe it. I don't believe him at all. I mean, they would have to be there. Tongues of fire upon their heads. So then let's go ahead and read it, because maybe it doesn't say that and I'm just making something up. Either way, I don't believe it. Why don't I believe it? I don't believe anything they say. But I accept that in history, maybe it was not tongues, maybe it was a sensation. Who knows? Okay. Acts chapter 2. 1 says, "And when the day of Shavuot or Pentecost, which is the same word, was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven, as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as of fire, and it sat upon each of them. And they were all filled with the Holy Ghost, and began to speak with other tongues, and the Spirit gave them utterance." And well, there's the history of what happened. There's the story of what happened, of the push that he gave this group. Now let me ask you something. Were they the bride of Yahweh? The answer, simply put, is no. No. Because they were living during the 5th day. They had just 40 days prior, 50 days prior, up until then, or a little, no, not a little more, 3 months something from, no, pardon me. They had just gone through, from the death of Yeshua, they had gone through the 5th millennium. Or they were passing through, it doesn't matter. Yeshua came in the 4th millennium, but when he dies, that whole year passes and the 4th millennium ends. So they were still in the 4th millennium. I want to correct that. They were going to switch when the year would switch. They would switch into the 5th millennium. Yeshua died on an Adar, of course. Nisan 14th. No, not Adar. I said Aviv. I meant Aviv. Pardon me. Aviv. Aviv, which is equal to Nisan, the 14th. And Pentecost came 50 days afterwards for Sivan, of course, but the millennium was going to change. The millennium was going to change when it would end in Adar that year. So then this takes place literally during the 4th millennium. It was about to switch over to the 5th millennium. Whatever it is, 4th millennium, 5th millennium, think about it however you want. The bride of Yahweh appears. No, the bride of Yahweh does not appear. She doesn't. During the 5th millennium, on the 4th millennium, the Son of Righteousness appears, which is him. And in the 5th millennium, the beast appears. That does appear, the beast. Of the bride, nothing. In creation, they don't talk about any man. Man is not there, only beasts. They're all beasts. That's what they always were, beasts. The woman and the man and the woman appear barely up until the 6th millennium, and not in any part of the 6th day of creation, but rather at the end. It is the final work of Yahweh. To make a man and woman is the last thing he does, man and woman, because in the 6th millennium, right before he makes the beasts of the earth. The beasts of the earth is the first ones he mentions. There was no man, there was nothing, they were all beasts. So then I see the earth, the story of the earth, and I say, before the 6th millennium, they were all animals. I have the right to say it. They were animals. No one thought that they weren't animals. In the 6th millennium, they were animals. They first have to appear during the 5th millennium, the beasts of the water, which represent the actual beast, And then have to appear the beast of the earth, which is the US of A. And at the end of it all, after the animals had fun with all types of religions that there's ever been, and trying out every type of diverse ways of interpreting the scripture, it was animalistic interpretations, or that prophetically speaking, man appears at the end of the earth, of the creation. And when man appears, the beasts already exist, and man is given the command of saying, now you have to name those animals, name them, give them a name, and we've named all the beasts that are going around. Those beasts are Israel, this beast is the US. We named the name that corresponds to every one. In the last order that Yahweh gives man and woman, he says, now you have to dominate those beasts. You have to subjugate those beasts. Let's go ahead and read it, because it's very interesting for all those that listen to it, don't understand me, they forget, or they've never heard it before. It says during the 6th day, Bereshit, or Genesis chapter, let's go to chapter 2. Let's go to chapter, let's see. Well, I can't find what I want right now. Let's see. Here it is. Chapter 1, 28. Let's go to 27. So God created Elohim, man in his own image. In the image of God, or Elohim, created he him. Male and female created he them. So then, what is the image of Elohim? Male and female. He didn't create man, and then out of man, the female is the image of the male, like Paul says. Paul says that the male is the image of God, and the female is the image of the man. That was what Paul says in his interpretation. Is not what the Bible says. The Bible says that, and God created man in his image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. Male and female. So then, humanity entirely is created in the image of Elohim. That means many things that you already know. And what did Elohim say? And he blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. That's the command. So then when he creates man and woman, which is not humanity, I want you to understand this, because if you don't understand that, then you haven't understood the thing. Even though it would seem hard, racist, and harsh, I mean, I know that the eternal truth seems to be that, even if it seems that in 5 millennia, no man ever existed in the image of God. Because if man had existed in the image of God, then the whole prophecy that we believe in is a lie. Yahweh made the world in 6 days to demonstrate what he would do in every millennium. And we cannot say humanity was created in the first millennium. What he created, we know that is humanity. I mean, you have to understand that it's not the humanity that Elohim considers to be humanity. It is not the prophetic man. It is not his woman. So then, so that you understand, Israel was never the wife of Yahweh. It was a wild animal in the desert. Israel was, prophetically speaking. The disciples were animals. The prophets were all animals, because men would be born on the 6th millennia after the beasts. The beasts were born, they had to be born. All of Israel is the beast. It's the beast, absolutely. There you have the role. Everything that is a prophet of Israel, a beast. Because they're a part of the beast that had to be born. Then later, also we've got the white and the green grass, the trees, we can understand that it's all another symbol of Israel. But what's important is that it has to be recorded. Man and woman were going to make their first appearance at the end of creation, almost at the arrival of Shabbat. And it was given the command of multiplying everything, subjugating the beasts, judging the beast, an entire dominion which we have not achieved yet. Men appeared, that did, and woman, they appeared. But what is left is the final part. So then let us go in the prophetic clock in a form that is certain and clear, completely, absolutely southern. We go back to the story of Shavuot. What happened in Shavuot of the year in which Yahweh died? What happened was that type of beasts, which were the disciples, they received the power to be able to advance with that message, and for them to not die there, because if they were to die there, then all creation would stop the creation of what would happen later. So then they had to advance. So then Yahweh gave them enough excitement, enough effort, and urge for them to advance. With that, I concluded, and many have concluded, that Shavuot means the enabling from on high, the matrimony of Yahweh with his bride. The wedding feast of Yahweh. Right now, I stopped believing that. Because, why? Because, yes, Yahweh did marry an animal, which was Israel. And since he married that wild animal, and then also he tortured her, and also mistreated her, and then later he got divorced, because with Israel, it got to divorce. He divorced that Israel. So now, in Pentecost, he got married. No, it's all an enabling. It's all enabling. Does that mean that he enables the wife in Shavuot? I used to think so, but no. So then, last year, this is not new for you. Maybe for most of you, it isn't, but you forgot. I understand. I understand you. But last year, I taught Shavuot is no longer our feast. Shavuot is the feast of the 144,000. We are not the 144,000. We are the Lamb. And the 144,000 follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth, by whichever path he wants to do. Whatever he does, the 144,000 follow him. So then, went from being a feast that we used to believe that it was ours, it is now the feast of others, because that's the way it is, and we understand it clearly when we start to see more light. So then the feast is of the two witnesses. These two breads, which are here, represent the two witnesses which have died. They are dead. If you understand that the unleavened bread represents Yahweh dead, because the leaven is not a sin like Paul interpreted, but life rather. Leaven is life. If leaven is life, then the matzah, or the matzah, which is a bread without life, represents the body of Yahweh without life. That's what it represents. This, no one has any logical explanation, no one except for the eternal truth, of why it is the following feast. The command is entirely different. The other one, don't add any leaven. Let me not add any leaven. Find any leaven in all of your tetra, because you're all dead people. You can't have any leaven, because really, I'm going to represent my death, but you're also dead. Do you understand what I just said? Maybe you didn't really grasp it. I'll say it in slow motion so you can grasp it. All the feast of Pesach, not only does it represent the death of Yahweh, but the death of Israel. Because the command is, I don't want to find any leaven in all of your territory. You remember that we at first, what we did was to throw it out, remember? The Jews up until today go around with a loupe, magnifying glass everywhere to see that they They would not keep the leaven, they would have to eliminate it, burn it. Okay, now I'm going to replace leaven with life. What does Yahweh make him do, these animals? He says, why do you have to speak this way? Prophetically speaking, what does he make them do to this religion of animals? He tells them, you know what? This feast, I want you to remember it this way. The principle lechem, the main lechem, it is I. So then make lechem, or bread, in representation of me, which is going to be called matzah, which has no leaven, no seor. I think this is what it means, seor, right? Leaven, but it has no seor. And look at the word seor. It means with or, light, because leaven is light, life. He says, but I don't want for it to have life. So then that bread without life represents me. But not only I will be dead in Israel. He says, I don't want there to be life in all the territory of Israel. That's what's happened. There was there life in Israel. It was one more dead than the next, up until today. But do you understand the depth of the words? Because there wasn't not only did they have to make a matzot and eat matzot, but rather in matzot or matzat. Matzot, it's plural. Matzah is, I'm going to speak without the dog shit words. Not only did they have to make unleavened bread, but it preferred to have leaven in any part of your territory. What that means is, I don't want you to have life because you're a dead people. I will be dead, and you also, you sons of bitches. That's not in the text. I'll read it to you. It says, because you're sons of bitches, I want you to remove what life is, what light is, because you're a son of a bitch people, and you're going to learn I'm going to be dead because I'm going to die for you and for the whole world, for everyone. But he says, you also, okay? You also. So then get rid of all the leaven, which symbolizes complete death to Israel. This is what happened later after he died. But I mean, they left that, they leveled Israel. Now we move on to the next feast that nobody can interpret, but because no one fucking messianic, not one messianic, and even less other ones of Judaism can they interpret what these two breads mean. How do we go from one unleavened dough and that there's no leaven in any place of the territory of Israel, and we move on to he cooks two breads with leaven and bring them to the temple? Didn't you say there was a sin? No. For Christian and Messianic it's a sin, but of course, but they're idiots. Everything they do, it's sin in their way. Everything is sin, except for giving tithe. They never had a problem because for Micaiah Palacios, they took his whole temple, the government took everything out. He didn't go to jail. By miracle, he even lost his name, I believe, that son of a bitch. Even the name he's losing. What do you call when they do a seize to something? They seized everything. That whole place that he had the gatherings last week, he said, this is my last reunion gathering. He says the Antichrist took everything. What a son of a bitch. The anti-Mashiach, the government of the anti-Mashiach, don't be a clown, you son of a bitch. What government first you're a thief, and then you're a liar, and then the whole dog shit that follow you are all dog shit. No, listen to me also, unless you repent and you say, wow, it's true. What a son of a bitch. Where was I? I was more lost than a dog in a bocha camp. I know you didn't understand that, but it doesn't matter. You're lost in the cloud. I know you don't understand these Argentinian phrases. It doesn't matter. Someday you'll understand them. If you're listening to me, someone from Shalom 123, is that what you got with Shalom 123? Peace and joy, the Kehillah, peace and joy, the whole dog shit of that guy. Wow. He lost everything. He's going to steal somewhere else, but that's fine. Okay, I find that, well, none of us can explain why the change of Yahweh. No leaven, because it's a sin. They say because it's a sin. They don't understand anything. Changed over to, and there's something that they don't understand. The bread with leaven would be drunk with wine. The bread without leaven would be drunk with wine. And in the wine there's leaven. That hasn't even gone to their mind. Just like that. To their imagination. Has it come up what the combination is? Because the life is in the blood. The Torah tells you the leaven is in wine. It tells you. So then the blood of Yahweh was life. So then that's why it says, come and drink of my blood, because if you drink of my blood, forget it. And eat my dead body, which means understand that I died. Eat me, eat me. I am the serpent. The blood of the serpent will give you life. Okay, fine. Now we move on to the next feast. He says, now I want you to bring me 2 breads. And why 2? Why? Because they present something that they can't even imagine. 2 breads. And the 2 breads, I want them to have leaven. Wow, leaven. Yeah, leaven, of course. And you have to bake them at home. Let's go ahead and read the text. The text in the invitation. Let's go ahead and read the text of the invitation, which reads as follows. Leviticus 23:15 through 17, the New Living Translation. It's from the day after the Shabbat, the day you bring the bundle of grain to be lifted up as a special offering, Bikurim, count off 7 full weeks. Keep counting until the day after the 7th Sabbath. In other words, tomorrow. These are 50 days later. Of what? Of Bikurim. Then present an offering unto Yahweh, a new grain offering. From wherever you live, bring two. Important thing is number 2. 2 loaves of bread to be lifted up, to be elevated before Yahweh as a special offering. It's a special offering, unique. It'll be lifted up. What does these 2 mean? It's first fruits of it, the best of the earth. That's why we used to think that we were the best of the elevated. The breads, the first fruits. We're not the first fruits, nor the elevated. We're the ones that elevate these first fruits. We are the ones that represents the Kohanim, the priest, which takes those first fruits unto Yahweh. We're not the bread. The bread is a bread that was dead, which leaven was added unto it, and it was revived. It was reborn. It was resurrected. And it has other ingredients at our piacere. And as we please, honey, if we want to add salt, we want to add, what else did I say? Olive oil. We allow it to leaven 3 times, or all the necessary times possible, until the bread understands, until it really grasps the concept, and we try what the best formula is, and that's where we elevate the bread. This represents the 2 witnesses. That's why it's 2 loaves of bread, 2 witnesses. The 4 angels are followed by 2 millions. It doesn't matter if it's 2 million. It sounds horrible. It says 2 thousands upon thousands. 2 loaves of bread. It says 2 witnesses. What's the important thing is the number 2. The rest doesn't matter. The 2 means these 144,000. The resurrected, unto whom it is placed. Who imposes them? Who we do. Look at the text. Look at the text. It says, and prepare. It's a command for those who want to understand. Prepare each of the loaves of bread with 4 quarts of choice flour. Don't use any type of flour. Use the best. Don't grab any marked flour. Don't grab any flour that isn't on sale or given away. No, the choice flour. It represents the best of humanity. And what is the flour? Wheat. And the wheat, it says, do not, how much is the value of the wheat? One pound for 1 penny, or not. And the barley, 3 pounds for 1 penny. But touch not the wine or the oil. This represents those that are going to be touched. That's why it needs to leaven to be added to them, to be resurrected. It says choice flour, the best. You're going to choose it. You're in charge of choosing it, and bake them with yeast. They have to go through the oven of affliction. I don't know. Don't ask me. They have to go through the oven. Right now, the way they are, it's no good. They have to go through the oven at a certain temperature for them not to burn, and that they're not left raw. It has to be a perfect result, just like these 2 loaves. It's just like this, marvelous. It has to be artisan hands, which are we, those that are going to handle this group. Not just resurrect them, but rather it is to add products into them, to that choice flour. They are the choice flour. You have to add to them. You have to add to them honey. You have to add to them olive oil. Anoint them in one way or another. You have to anoint them. You have to add salt because they have no salt. We're the salt of the earth. You have to add water, the enough quantity. Don't drown it and don't let it be hardened. And then you have to bake them with yeast. Pardon me. If we don't add the yeast, then it's dead. The flour is dead. But you should say the kingdom of Elohim is like a woman. Who's the woman? The bride. Who grabbed 3 parts of flour and she hid a little bit of leaven. And she says, and everything got leavened. She made the loaves of bread. The woman made the loaves of bread. See, that is the kingdom of heaven. That is the kingdom of heaven. The bride grabs a product that is dead, but it's choice. We agree. Grabs it, takes it, gives it life, leaven. Adds special condiments to it and takes it to the oven. What's it say? Bake them with yeast, but of course, no one, not one Christian or Messianic can understand this because they see leaven as sin. Because their Jesus had no sin. To top it off, it was marked by number 2. 2. It was 2. Every loaf of bread has the number 2 because this represents 2. 2 is 4, but in the oven of affliction which awaits them, in which we, lightly subjugate them. Exactly, that is, as Leslie says, that is how you mark the cattle. They have a mark. But are you understand where I'm headed? That, first of all, this will not be quick. The 144,000, the resurrected don't understand the thing. Absolutely don't understand the thing. They don't understand what we understand. They need life, which they don't have. They need other ingredients, and they need an oven. What for? To make a product. Very well. So then it says bake them with yeast. No one understands. I want to insist on this because you have the privilege of understanding that yeast is life, but not the rest. There's no other preacher out there that can say that yeast is life. They all say yeast is sin. Yeast is sin, and it's not sin, because they say, and that's where I left off, their Jesus had no sin, and the Jesus that I say that died 2,000 years ago, I said there was full of sin. I say he was the greatest sinner in history. It's not that he had a little bit of 1 or 2 sins. He failed this, he yelled at his mother, or he had sex with Maria Magdalene or someone else, another guy. It says that a disciple was naked. I don't know. All kinds of things happen. I don't know. But the only thing I can assure you, that the one that was there was the greatest sinner of all time. He was the being that had killed the most people. He was the being that had done most injustice of everyone. He was the being that would do whatever he fucking wanted. He was the being that placed the most stupid laws and hateful and ridiculous laws in history. That being, which the Christians say, my Jesus never sinned, they don't have the fucking idea. That being was the serpent that had bitten the people of Israel. That was the being. So then, once we understand all that, the leaven does not represent sin. He was absolutely a sin. Paul tries to say it and says he was made sin, but a sin 100% is sinful. He says if a person had sinned, he was 100% sinful, because he would represent everything. Okay. Stepping out of that, if you understood it, fine. If you didn't, then don't you worry, it's not for you. The leaven represents life, and we're the only that have that truth. It says, bake them with yeast, they will be an offering unto Yahweh from the first of your crops. Exactly. We have another crops, yes. Of course we have other crops. Which is it? Everything. We're going to have to add leaven to everything. We're going to have to add leaven to everything in the oven. What do you call the other oven? It's the lake of fire. The lake of fire. Another name, the purifying hell. Another name, eternal flames of fire. That is the name. That is the name. The oven. Oven's always also called purifying fire. I should call my electrifier the purifying fire. I need it. I need it precisely. And that is why this will be the first. We have not harvested anything. Both you or I have not harvested anything. Our first crops will be first them, and we'll present them unto Yahweh. Those are the first. The 2 witnesses, the 144,000, and afterwards we have to harvest the rest of the world. So then, it is concluded that the feast of Shavuot does not represent the bride, it represents the 2 witnesses, which need to be resurrected, which need leaven. Not just that, they need other additives like olive oil. And I wanted to add olive oil without even thinking that, now I think about it, without even thinking that it was as to anoint the bread, without thinking as if to, I added honey because they were acid, I added salt because I didn't have any salt, but I grabbed the best flour and I added enough water, and then afterwards they went into the oven, and the oven marked them. The oven, I didn't mark them, the oven marked them. The oven of affliction marked them, and this is ready, representing to present unto Yahweh. So then, actually, we now understand that well. This is the second time that I repeat once again, this feast is not ours. Tomorrow, I don't expect anything. Not for me. I don't expect anything. I expect other feasts. I expect them. Not in this one. I used to expect in this one, Shavuot, I don't marry Yahweh. No. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. Absolutely, this is a power and an enabling of the bride for the 2 witnesses. Just that's the way I see it. Power and enabling of the bride unto the 2 witnesses. Just like the disciples received the power from on high, these people receive a power from us. I'll say it like that. Just from the Son of Man. A power from us. Of the Messiah. Of the Son of Man. Very well. That's all that I have to speak about now about Shavuot. Let us enjoy this feast. You don't have to make the bread. This is just a symbol. I hope it's the last time that I have to do it. I hope that the next bread that I make is the real one. That it's the real one. And that all of you help me, because we're going to be all the cooks of that bread. And that we get the product that we need. And we're going to do it in conjunction. I hope it's the last as a symbol. The last one as a symbol. And the following one, may it be the product that we're going to present unto Yahweh. First is going to be our arm. The rest, we have to train them. What did I tell you? The 2 witnesses are resurrected, and you tell them, come up hither. And they went into heaven in a cloud. That is a part of the process I told you. Not immediately will this take place. This will take place, and I don't know how long it'll take to bake them. This took me, prophetically speaking, how long did it tell? 2 hours, 3 hours and a half. 2 hours and a half. Prophetically speaking, 3 hours and a half. So then, how long will it take for them? I don't know. It'll take, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. I don't know. 1 year. I don't know. But it's kind of like when they resurrect, it says that they are taken to a place. They went up to heaven in a cloud. They went up to the power of the one that was resurrecting them in a mystery. It means that you understand why a person that's resurrected, that has never understood a thing, they cannot sign up for an army. You understand that, right? Yes. They're not magically going to receive the information. You have to develop it. You have to study. Not magically do we make this bread. I just magically say make the breads, and no, it's actual work. So then the 2 witnesses are going to have to learn. We're going to have to be the ones that give them a form, which make them grow, which give them life, which give them all the materials, necessary materials for them to be the best product. And when everything is ready, we present that unto Yahweh. That is what the prophecy says. No one understands this, only the eternal truth. No one else. Absolutely no one else. And which is Now I see it's been an hour 41 speaking. An hour and 41 speaking. And I want to eat the bread already. Let's see. Let's see. Wow. I cannot ask you for any more likes, but there's more likes now than people watching. 300 likes. Very good. 300 likes. 300 of Gideon. By Gideon and by Yahweh. 300. Okay, that's good. It's absolutely very good. Very good. Okay, move on. So then, starting with the seals, trumpet, plagues, we'll speak a little bit about that because the perfume that this has, it is really inebriating me. It is very, very nice flavor. Yes, I mean, it's so pretty. I want to see how they look. I want to see what's inside in symbolism, right? There has to be a good product. There has to be a good product. All the rest that we made, I didn't like. Prophetically speaking, I didn't like them. Now this one, if this turns out to be good, if this one turns out to be good, then we're ready. Prophetically speaking, did you understand? It has nothing to do with being good artisans with bread, but since everything that happens to us has some sense, so then I didn't like the others that weren't ready to be a good product. But if this one turns out to be good, then maybe Yahweh says you're prepared. Now I'm going to give you the real task of making the other bread, the real one. You understand what I'm saying, right? Okay, very well. Seals, trumpets, and plagues, part 9. Shavuot. First seal, the mark. You already know that. The mark took place. The mark is still taking place. And the mark was going to have a strong...
The people are asking if you could slice the bread here, live.
We could slice the bread live. Why not? Why not? I mean, before we wrap it up, I'll slice it. No. Either I slice it live or nothing. I'll slice it live. Before we wrap it up, I'll slice it. Yeah, very good. I'll slice it. No, I'll slice it. Claudio, yeah, I'll slice it. I'll slice it. Just for all of you. You remember when we talked about Claudio and that subject about tithes, right? They all remember that I said I had decided to give the rings to Claudio, but when he said that, I said, no, I'm not going to give him the rings. I broke the heart to Claudio and all them. But I want to tell you something, which obviously after given that subject, and that subject was so well taken by Claudio and by all of you, it was a necessary subject. And with the focus which Claudia wanted to take, I loved it even more. If I had explained it in a different way, I loved it. It's kind of like he helped me to present it that way. Directly like that, he helped me, he gave me the words to present it that way, and I liked the way it turned out. And I said, no, you know what, with Leslie we spoke, and said, we are going to give it to him because he's fulfilled his mission, so they're expecting the rings, which are ordered already until they get there. They're expecting the rings, so someday they'll get there, and someday we'll send it to the 4 of them. So then Claudia, Andrea, Elias, and what was the other name? Elias and? Oh, they're going to kill me. I have to mention him now. Claudio, Andrea, Elias, and Isaias. Yeah, one more prophet. Claudio, Andrea, Elias, and Isaias. They have their shirt rings, absolutely assured, and they're not being sent just yet, but they're already in the order and design. They're advancing already. So then,
It would also be a good idea to speak about why we have a certain consideration with Claudio.
well, with Claudio, we had a very good relation back since 2011 with the Rios family when they were already part of the rest of their lineage, which they're no longer. There was a very good relation with them, tell the truth, very good relation, and they even offered if I wanted to go to Argentina, they would give me a field and put it to my name. They would say, you come here and I'll place the field in your name. I have a field, I'll place it in your name. Of course, it was not the opportunity or not what I had to do, but his attitude was so marvelous. Always, it was marvelous in behalf of all the Rios and people that have also left a very good attitude. They left, but well, at that point in time, it was very good attitude. So then, always that is something that is very meaningful. That is in our heart, always present, absolutely present. When you do an attitude of that nature with that intention, we see people in a different way, and we have a certain love to them. That's right. Okay. For that, that is one of the reasons also that is so great of his. Very well. So then, the mark. The mark, you already know it, and I don't want to advance now about that because I'm about to wrap this up. Last, I want to leave the people about to enter into Shavuot, and if I extend myself too much, I won't open the bread. So now open the bread, you can see it. I was thinking about slicing it. Well, either way, we're going to do some sandwiches with it. I was thinking about cutting it like this, but I'll slice it so that every one of you see it in public so that we can see if we're ready or we still have time to wait. If inside is a disaster, I would say, no, we're going to have one more year next Shavuot. Let's see if we get it. It's a risk that we have to take. It's a risk. It could be a disaster inside. I don't know. That's why Leslie says, yeah, are you sure you want to do it live? Because we can't edit it. That's nothing. It could fail, Leslie says. It could fail. Let's go ahead and see. The bread is marked. It's marked. Yeah, just like that. Just to show the inside crumbs. If that's fine, no, let's go ahead and we have to show it. Go ahead and bring it right now. Let's slice it. If I want to stop everything already. Yeah, I'll slice the bread and today's subject as well. Wow. Remember that when you receive the ring, in order to inform me, show you the pictures and the eternal truth and your timeline, take pictures. It fills our hearts with joy when someone receives it. The ring. Just that one. Yes, that one. That is the best one. That is the best. Okay, Operation Slice. Okay, let's see if we stay or we leave. One more year. Let's go ahead and see. Let's see halfway. Let's go ahead and slice it. Wow. What an emotion.
Hello, Shabbat Shalom to everyone.
I think we're going to stay here another year.
Oh, yes, spectacular.
Oh, the perfume. When you cook a bread that's so big, it's difficult to know the time to cook it so as to not dry it or anything. Wow. Wow, it is. Wow, it's spectacular, this bread. It is spectacular. These crumbs are, it would seem like a crumb sandwich. It is very, very good. Oh, how good. Here, Brian, go ahead and pass this to the people for them to tell me, because they don't believe me. Yes.
Let's go ahead and try it. For me and for Angelina.
Because then they don't believe me. Yeah, it sure is good. Here, I'll give you another piece. Then later. Hold on. I said if I slice this, I'm going to slice the subject. No, I missliced it. I'm a specialist, very meticulous to slice it. But look at this. Show it there in camera. Well, it doesn't focus because that's an automatic focus, but wow, you can see it looks good. It looks spectacular. Spectacular. The crumbs, just the crumbs. Mmm. I mean, it's because you see the texture. Isn't the bread very good? Is it the best one that I've made up until now? Could we say? It's humid, you see. It's not acid.
We got the recipe from the first one.
But I changed it. It looks a lot like the first one. Then we varied it. I mean, what? It's very good, right? We're ready. We're ready. If Yahweh. Now pause. No, I mean, we're ready for the two witnesses. We're ready, the sandwiches also, but we're ready for the two witnesses. We can cook. It's good. The best I've made up until now, because some were a total failure, let me tell you. The best one I've made up until now, to tell you the truth, it is rather spectacular, and tell you the truth. Since it's been an hour and 52 since it's Shavuot, and since this, I don't even want to dry up. It's a representative. It's not that we're going to give it unto Yahweh. No. We're going to take it to the temple. Or not. We're going to take it into the temple of God. Okay. We're going to take it into the temple of God, this bread, immediately after this. Immediately after. So then, let us continue the subject next Shabbat. And we're going to try to conclude. Maybe we can't, but we're going to try to leave everything. And I'd like to wish every one of you a very happy Shavuot. I was going to tell you something, but I won't. I was going to tell you... No, but I don't want to tell you anything. Because if this is not our feast, there could be a good feast for us. It's interesting. I was going to tell you which one would that be. I mean, it's a good one. I'll tell you next Shabbat. Next Shabbat I'll tell you, because there's something that this week I was thinking about. Just a possibility. I was just thinking, might it be so? Might it be possible? Might it be that this means that? Might it be that this is this and this and that and this is that and this is this? Might it be? Maybe it's just speculative, but I won't tell you now. But next Shabbat. No, nothing. I'm gonna eat my bread, so then enjoy a very happy Shavuot.
A very happy Shavuot for everyone. Well, I came here to say hello.
You came to say hello, now you have to speak a little bit.
No, I just came to say hello. But, well, you want me to speak some words?
Now you have to say some words at least now. No, about that I'm not gonna say anything. No, I want to next Shabbat. Don't miss out.
Oh, how interesting.
Don't miss out next Shabbat.
Well, we're just very happy that you have received, most of you, the rings that we've sent out. Tell the truth, I get very, very happy. I knew, first of all, when I received my ring, which this one is YHWH Ekhad, I placed it here because the one that says Leslie is for this finger. So then I knew that some of you were going to want to have something like this. My first jewel designed that said LVE is this beautiful collar, this that pendant that I have here, that I have from a necklace, this heart that I have here.
Who gave you that?
You gave it to me, but of course, I asked for it, so then Christian gave it to me, we designed it. And this was the necklace, but I didn't think to offer it for other people because it's been some time ago that I've had it, and it was a little bit expensive, at least to sell it or send it. It didn't even come to mind. But well, this last anniversary of the 32nd year, Christian gave us these rings, and also with Brian, we were talking about how, like dreaming. Let's see, we would have articles of the eternal truth, like. Oh, Brian gets a little nervous.
También con Brian veníamos diciendo así como soñando, ay, si sacáramos artículos de la verdad eterna. Bueno, Brian se pone nervioso.
Well, the idea was completely Brian's.
No, the idea was mine. The idea was mine. Brian had said, About the rings. No.
de los anillos. Porque Brian, oh,
No, what we're saying is you said some articles, and Brian said, oh, if we make some T-shirts that say LVE.
Brian was saying that he wanted to do some sort of like LVE merch and that he would like to sell them, that people would like them. So then the first chance that we had was the LVE rings. We said, oh, people, they're really going to love these. They're going to love it. Why not offer them? Somebody will pay for it and the shipping and everything. So we thought that it was too difficult. Christian saw it as something that was an actual horrible task because we would have to prepare them. It's an entire packaging process.
un plan horrible porque teníamos que prepararlo. Es todo un empaquetado y también
It takes a brutal amount of time. Just by looking about their addresses, they don't know where they live.
Right, you guys don't know how Christian has to decode.
Every single address, I look it up on Google, and I said, did you say that it's named like this? Oh, yes, I missed this and that. Almost getting there. Almost getting there.
So then, I mean, yeah, it does take its work, and we knew, well, I didn't know. I tell the truth, I didn't know it was going to be so much work. Tell the truth, I didn't know. And, well, we take it to the post office and all the rest. All the rest was very, very well planned. We wanted there to have a certificate for the ring and for you to really see that we were giving it to you with all our heart, both Christian, because tell the truth, Christian speaks to you. And I help him in everything, 100%, whatever he needs. I'm always there for whatever he needs. Even when we talk about the subjects that he's going to talk about, in everything, I'm always present. Brian and Angelina, you already know that she's the one that is now at the head of Germanic medicine, and more than anything, she wanted to just test it out. She never thought that out of this she would get donations or anything, but what you give in donations really is becoming, well, good earnings for her that she can buy material or she can continue to take courses online and research, and it's very nice. I tell the truth, I see it as, wow, how pretty that she can have friends of the eternal truth that donate her for her work, because really it is a work that not even Chris or I could do, and she's already sometimes 3 to 5 hours with only one person per day. That is something that you don't understand when someone else consumes your time of your day and you dedicate it to that person to listen to them. It is lots of time. Same thing as Christian when he reads and studies and talks with me.
Cristian y yo podríamos hacer. Ella a veces está 3 a 5 horas con una sola persona por día. Eso es algo que ustedes no lo entienden cuando otra persona te consume el tiempo de tu día y se lo dedicas a esa persona para escucharla. Es mucho tiempo, lo mismo que Cristian cuando lee y estudia y conversa conmigo.
I wouldn't have the time to help anyone.
He would not have time to, and also it's so time consuming to make a study. Sometimes all week we're talking about only one subject, and it takes up your time. Sometimes we talk about hours on end. I don't believe that it does not enter into your imagination. Sometimes we talk Brian sometimes up until late, the wee hours of the night, and Brian and Angelina, part of our children, they're the fruits that we've given. We consider them to be as this Elijah, this Mashiach, which is the leadership, which is our part in our home. They've always had to yield time, a place, their house, their table, and we are all for in everything. We're united, but united like this. You could not take one out to, take the value and see the value of another, because actually both Brian and Angelina and I have placed everything that was on our behalf, so that this ministry and everything that Christian speaks about, it can turn out well, and every Shabbat he can be comfortable and joyful, and when he needs what he needs, the clothes, the table, the things, the studies, the paperwork, everything, we have the best disposition and the best plan and organization, so that every Shabbat you can have these subjects that are so pretty and so beautiful. Some have asked me why I don't speak, that I speak so well and all that, and I have some friends, my girlfriends that always say hello and all that. To tell the truth, I have lots of love for them, because some of you are very loving with me, and you never forget to say hello to me, or to say Shabbat Shalom, or send me things. And we would not want to even divide, or the audience, we want to be united. in everything that we do. So then everything which is born or everything which we think about will always be according to something united that we can give to you, and not to diversify things. At least that is our plan. We're super joyful that every one of the ones that have been able, they have ordered. You already know that you can order it and then you can pay for it later. We've made a certificate that has our names.
Diversificar ni dividir la audiencia, queremos estar unidos en todo lo que hacemos. Así que todo lo que nazca o todo lo que se nos ocurra siempre va a ser de acuerdo a algo unido que nosotros podamos darle a ustedes y no diversificar cosas. Por lo menos ese es nuestro plan. Estamos súper alegres que cada uno de los que pudieron ya ordenaron, ya saben que pueden ordenarlo e ir pagándolo después. Hicimos el certificado que tiene nuestros nombres.
That's the most important part. The certificate is more valuable than what I used to think when we designed it. It has the name of the 4 angels. Now, the 4 angels, I mean that because they're not 5, not 3, they're 4 angels. The ring comes, the name of the 4 angels.
Yes, we designed it with all our heart. I just wanted for it to be kind of like celeste and white, and Christians know it's got to have the sun, so we designed it like that with the Argentinian flag because it's very representative, not because we are nationalist of the Argentinian country. I mean,
Seamos nacionalistas argentinos, ya saben, estamos en los Estados Unidos.
We're nationalists of LVE.
of LVE, but that flag means so much. It's blue and white like the sky. It's got the sun in the center, which we know who the Son of Righteousness is. So then those things, we've chose them very carefully, not because of the flag. I believe that that's why Christian didn't even wear the Argentinian jersey when Argentina won, because it would be like to eat bread with bread. I mean, I know he's already Argentinian, but it's not that he's extremely nationalist because of that country, but because what gave us that culture to live there, their way of being, and that teaching of the Argentinians, it's so different to Latin America. If you were to know us, I don't know if you could stand us. Because, yes, you would see that we're way too Argentinian. We are empathetic also, but we also have the great...
Si nos soportarían. Porque sí, se darían cuenta que somos demasiado argentinos, somos empáticos también y todo, pero también tenemos la gran humildad.
humbleness. We're proud of how we are. We're proud of how we are. And there are things that we do not accept. You know, when someone is out of place, or when someone, I don't know, is acting in the wrong way. So then, we have that type of things that we're not scared, nor do we have any hairs in our mouth to say, look, you're out of place. So then you see, some people that have come here, they didn't leave so happy. But well, we have those qualities that if it weren't for those qualities, I'm sure that Christian could not speak the way he speaks. It's so direct. It's things that really he's going to tell you how they are, and I have the same way of being and of thinking. And when something is not in place, it's not in place. No matter if it offends you, but it's not in place. Aside from the fact that I also know the culture of the Latin Americans, and I know what things are not in place, or we have to say them to correct them. And then afterwards, second place, that is in parentheses because I clarify everything also about those things. But well, second place, we sent you a sunflower box. Very meaningful because we said, well, the sunflowers, Christian would say, well, a box of different flowers. I said, no, they have to be sunflowers only. One because it has my name, of course. It has my name. So then I said, it's like turning towards the sun, sunflowers. It has less in it, but the sunflower box, it represents you a lot for those that follow the Son of Righteousness. In the sunflower, you know that it's a flower that ever since the sun goes up until it sets, it looks towards the sun. And it has that quality. So then I said, in the end of it all, we are all a little box of sunflowers that we follow the sun and we search for the Son of Righteousness. No, it's got to be that. So then I loved it. We placed it in a little black bag, a little black pouch because the judges were dressed in black. The pouch has to be what color? It had to be black. They dressed in black. So then we chose the black pouch, and then the plastic bag inside, you can take it out because that was just to show that it was that number that you asked it.
Entonces yo dije, somos todos una cajita de girasoles que seguimos de cara al sol de justicia. Y dije, uy, tiene que ser eso. Así que me encantó. Lo pusimos en una bolsita negra porque cada juez estaba vestido de negro. Dijimos, la bolsita tiene que ser qué color. Y tiene que ser negra, se vistieron de negro. Entonces elegimos la bolsita negra. Y la bolsita de plástico que está adentro, ustedes la pueden quitar porque eso era solamente para mostrar que era ese número el que pidieron.
To divide it by number, right? Divide them.
Right, to identify it well so then you can take it out and place it in its black pouch or always wear it in your hand. It's something that, well, you have to show it off and also you can kiss it. You can also ask wishes to it. You can also Shazam. I used to say it here with Christian. We do Shazam like this. Shazam.
At least I like to wear it looking towards me. I see that some of you...
Right, towards my face. Right.
Some of you wear it this way and you take the picture this way. I mean, do it however you want, but I like it to look towards me. In other words, I look at it like this and it looks towards me. Like the line to look towards me. If I turn it this way, it always like this. Those that haven't ordered it because they ordered, if you didn't order, they're fucked. Asked for a little bigger than your number because I send an 8 for a man. It's difficult for me to understand that a man can wear an 8.
Yeah, they could ask for an extra size, right, if they wanted to, or to have 1, 2, 3.
This is my third one already. I have a 12, a 13, and a 14. And for this one, I'm going to order a 15. Depending on where I want to use it.
So then, if you wish...
This one's 14. So then they said, a man wears an 8. And like, I just can't believe it. And my fingers are fine. They're not fat fingers, okay? And this is a 14. And the 14, I wear it here. Then we're 14. This one, 15, and this one, because this one's already kind of tight, but I could wear it. But I'd rather have a 15. Now, this one, it's not going to enter, not even crazy. It'd have to be a 15. I could force it, but it won't enter all the way down. In some pictures I've seen that your fingers kind of tight right there, and it gives my impression to say, oh, well, switch it up.
Okay, so then I wish you a very happy Shavuot tomorrow, that you have a very nice day. How can you celebrate? Well, just celebrate eating, rejoicing in something that you read, and celebrate. And the best thing is to be happy. We have many motives by which we can be happy. Those that have received the ring, wow, I mean, that is to make a very great party to have a ring like this of the eternal truth, LVE, and what it means. And yes, obviously that we touched it a lot, and we did everything that we did to send it with lots of love and with lots of joy. Really, it didn't cost me anything to think in every one of you, and some will receive it freely by some special motive because we considered it so, and those that didn't, well, buy it because to tell the truth.
Gratuitamente por algún motivo especial, porque nosotros lo consideramos así, y el que no, bueno, compren, porque la verdad
buy the truth and sell it not.
Buy the truth and sell it not, obviously. So then I'll leave you with those words, and I wish you the best Shavuot, for you to have fun, to eat nice, for you to have a very nice day, and to give a like to all these videos, that you share them in your own timeline, not in our timeline, because you are already in our timeline. So then for you to share it in our timeline doesn't make a lot of sense, because I already share it there, and I also can't trust you to share the video, because if you forget one day, what happens? No. So then in the groups, I share it, and you share it in your timelines, the videos you see, and that is how we promote it to your friends. And well, give us a like, comment. You don't have to comment so much either. Tell the truth. I mean, I understand that you want to place texts and guides and all that, and well, that's fine, but really, when you have hunger and thirst and you want to find out, you watch the whole video. Give us a like and comment if you liked this video, and I believe that is all. I don't know, right? Wow, we extended a lot, like 15 minutes, like 30 more minutes. Wow. It's ready.
Realmente tiene hambre, sed y quiere enterarse, ve el video entero. Pongan like, comenten si les gustó este video y creo que eso es todo, ¿no es cierto? Wow, extendimos ya como 30 minutos más. Bueno, listo.
Very well. Let me wrap up the subject. An applause for Leslie. I want to wrap it up with a word of prayer. Just one last recommendation that Leslie reminded me while she spoke. Today, Shavuot is not a day so that you drink alcohol, and even less to drink way too much alcohol today. Leave it without drinking alcohol. For those that do drink alcohol, actually you should never get drunk. That is more than clear. But it's a day to not be celebrating with alcohol. Maybe right before the sun goes down or something, a little bit or whatever, but not right on Shavuot. In other words, it is better. It's a day in which we have to be absolutely lucid. It's a day that means that we are the artisans of a product that's going to go out, that it's the two witnesses. That is only what I wanted to comment and clarify. Leslie says for you to have fun, celebrate, eat something good, and think about what we talked about today. Without any further ado, let us wrap up with a word of prayer. Beloved Yahweh, we give you thanks because you leave us and you allow us to understand all these things, and we give you thanks because we have arrived up until these dates, the Shabbat, the Shavuot. We fervently wish that we soon enter into the prophetic Shavuot, literal one, where those loaves of breads are people, those people are two witnesses, which know not, but are the best in humanity, and they have to be rebuilt and to have other ingredients, everything that you've prophesied, and they have to be resurrected. We really thank you for everything you give us. We're waiting for you. This is the moment, the adequate time for all this. We're expecting in all things. We thank you in your precious name, Yahweh Sabaoth. Alleluia. A great applause. Semper Fi. Long live the bride, our Hentum bride of Elohim. Crowned with glory, let us live, and always let's remember that phrase, because we must live crowned with glory. We must enjoy the laurels that we achieved. All that has to be impregnated in us. So then have a very happy Shavuot. We hope that Yahweh will continue to advance during this prophetic time, and that next Shabbat he'll give you, so I'll tell you, very speculative, but it's interesting. It's interesting things, but it's speculative, but it'll be next Shabbat. So then, happy Shavuot to each and every one of you. Alleluia to every one of you. Enjoy this so special a day. Alleluia.